It's been almost a year since the Environment Department launched the so-called Battle for Manila Bay, a long-term plan to rehabilitate the major waterway. After the cleanup, the agency will lead efforts for a sustainable development of Manila Bay. What has been accomplished so far? We put newsmakers on the record. Good evening, I'm Ruth Cabal. Our guest for this episode, the Environment Department's Manila Bay Coordinating Office Director Jake Meimban, National Housing Authority spokesperson Elsie Trinidad, and Worldwide Fund for Nature Philippines Forests for Water Program Manager Paulo Pagaduan. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Okay, it's been a year since the Battle for Manila Bay was launched. That's January 27. So where are we? Are we winning?
Of course, the Battle for Manila Bay, led by Secretary Roy A. Simato of the DNR, is winning slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm. Where are we right now? Kasi may different phases to, no? Okay. So can you tell us where we are after 1 year?
At the moment, we are still on phase 1. That's rehabilitation and cleanup. But in simultaneous approach for the ISF, relocation and resettlement, and then for education and sustainment. So for phase 1, basically, we are doing battles on all the waterways of the Manila Bay region, especially the rivers and estuaries. There are 3 priority areas of Secretary Simato for the first year. That's the Manila Bay Walk, Baseco Beach, and then the Estero Antonio de Abad. We are winning on these 3 priority areas in terms of lowering the coliform level, and in terms of also collecting or cleaning up the garbage in that area. But on the coliform level also, a lot has been decreasing slowly. It still is not within the standard level set by our standard in the DNR. But on the solid waste front, thousands of cubic meters has been collected in collaboration with volunteers and member agencies of the Manila Bay Task Force.
Okay, Jake, before we go to the other aspects, no, like yung sa NHA and also yung iba pang phases, no, I just want to show our audience kung gaano kalaki yung, kasi ang pagkakaintindi natin when we say Manila Bay, ang lagi natin iniisip Rojas Boulevard lang, di ba? So can you tell us how big? Ako, nagulat din ako na parang as far as Pampanga, as Nueva Ecija. Give us a picture.
Okay, Manila Bay, covering its coastlines, covered around 190 kilometers. That's from Cavite to Bataan. In terms of the drainage area, that's the watershed area, it's around 1.7 million hectares, covering 3 regions. That's the Region 3, Region 4A, and NCR, and covering the provinces of Bataan, Pampanga, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Cavite, Rizal, and the whole NCR regions. In terms of the surface area of Manila Bay, that's around 190 hectares. And the population in this area would cover roughly around 14 to 16 million.
Wow.
And it is where the majority or the industrial area of the Philippines is located. So all kind of industries is located here. So in summary, Manila Bay region is the heart of the Philippines.
And in summary, what is the biggest problem that we have to solve here? What is the biggest enemy that we have to fight in the battle for Manila Bay?
Okay, as the mandamus order of the Supreme Court has stated, the bay should be restored to its swimming and bathing standard. So number 1 enemy is the water pollution.
Okay, and when we say water pollution, we usually, syempre, look at the human factors. Ano po, yung mga residents dyan, yung mga business establishments. I want to ask si Ms. Elsie of National Housing Authority, so gaano karami itong mga tao, mga commercial and residents dyan sa area na yan?
In terms of the informal, we call it the informal settlers, the indicative estimates of the DNR, sir, is something within the vicinity of 230,000 families. And translate that to population, that's 5 per family, 5 members to a family. But we would like to make mention that even before the Administrative Order 16 was promulgated, the NHA has already undertaken in 2010 up to 2018 the resettlement of informal dwellers along waterways in Metro Manila. And we estimated our target then is somewhere between 70 to 71,000 ISFs. And we can mention now that there was a paradigm shift in the beginning because all the small creeks, waterways drain into Manila Bay. So it's, in terms of priority, these small waterways that drain into them should be cleared first. That's why the
So
informal...
inuna niyo po yun?
Yes. And we have relocated about 62,000 families out of the targeted 71,000 in Metro
Dun sa
Manila.
parang priority areas.
Yes, in
Okay.
Metro Manila alone. Of course, houses were provided both in city and off-city. When we talk of off-city, we have resettlement sites or housing projects in Cavite, Laguna, and Bulacan. And when we talk of in-city, these are housing projects, low-rise buildings, 5-story walk-ups.
Pero po, marami pa, mga more than 100,000 families
of course,
pa. Okay.
marami pa. Now, for our priority this year, we are addressing the targets also for Region 3 and Region 4.
Okay. Si Paolo, gusto kong tanungin, ano bang nakikita niyong culprit? Ang sinasabi ni Jake, the number one enemy here is water pollution. It's more of yung mga, naipon ba yung basura from the residents, the commercial establishments?
Siguro ano siya, no? It's partly true na it's a lot of trash from residential houses. But believe it or not, what killed Pasig River was not plastics naman. It's a lot of other things. That's why DNR is monitoring a lot more than just the solid waste problem. When we look at the whole Manila Bay, we look at the nitrates, the phosphates, the heavy metals, and plastics as part of solid waste is only part of the problem.
Okay.
So it's actually a lot bigger than you would say the trash from the informal settlers or even the septage for the open defecation in the rivers. Because our dirtiest river is actually, I think, Marilao, Meycauayan area, and it's not ISF area per se. It's a lot of livestock, a lot of agriculture in the area, which contribute greatly into the Manila Bay water quality. You also have Laguna Lake. A lot of industries are there, steadily degrading, all contributing to Manila Bay.
So it's a mix of yung waste from the residential areas as well as commercial.
Yes, because we shouldn't focus only on the things we see physically. Because there's a lot going under the water that's killing the rivers even before the plastics were there.
Pero yung nabanggit nyo na kanina kasi, di ba yung isang gauge natin when we talk about water pollution is yung coliform level, no? I was looking at the figures. We started with 3.98 billion MPN, most probable number na dapat 100 lang. So we had billions. Paano ba ito, Jake?
That's
Pero
correct.
kadumi talaga. Oo.
That level of coliform is just but a reflection of the neglect on a long period of time. Okay, can just imagine millions of Filipinos, okay, coming from the upstream, okay, and then having the waterways as their disposal area in terms of sewage, untreated sewage, and everything. And then draining towards Manila Bay. So you can just imagine decades of that, okay? And then it has accumulated. So that's why it was only during the time of President Duterte and Secretary Simato that this political will and then the battle for Manila Bay was launched because the enemy really, the problem is that huge. It's a monstrous, really, problem.
Okay, gusto ko malaman kung ilan na yung coliform level natin ngayon, but we'll talk about that when we go into a break. Kasi may mga areas na nakakapag-swimming ang mga tao, di ba? We'll be back after a quick break. This is On the Record on CNN Philippines. You're on the record on CNN Philippines. We're still talking about the rehabilitation of the Manila Bay a year after the government unveiled its long-term plan about this. So yung hangi question ko kay Jake, from billions of MPN, most probable number, na dapat 100 lang pala. As in 100 hindi 100,000.
Below.
Billions eh. So where are we now?
Yeah, that's correct, Ruth. For example, the priority areas of Secretary Simato, that's Manila Bay Walk, Estero Abad, and Baseco. For Estero Abad, last year, when we started the battle for Manila Bay, that's more than a billion. That's 1.7 billion in 2019.
We're talking about the fecal coliform level.
Yeah, the fecal coliform level.
Okay.
And then in 2018, that's correct, that's 3.5 billion. Because that is where Manila Zoo was located, and then the sewage of the Hospital ng Maynila, and then there are a lot of ISF along the waterways of Estero Abad. So draining towards that Esteros, and then draining towards an outfall near the Manila Yacht Club. Okay, so that was in January 2019. So 1.7 billion. Now, based on our latest monitoring, it's still in millions but not in billions anymore.
Okay.
It registered around 35 million. Okay. In the Baywalk area, before it's around 100 millions because there are three outfalls there. The Abad, the Remedios, and the Faura. So every establishment from that area would drain towards that three outfalls. Now, our latest monitoring would reveal that from the 300 million, around less than 100 million. In Baseco, this Baseco really is really a good sign of what we are doing. We will be having our first anniversary in Baseco this January 26. And a lot of people are swimming there, but still, it's not within the standard level. But before, it's more than 1 million. Now, it's around 53,000.
Wow, oo.
Yeah.
Nakita ko nga kasi may ibang pictures na may nagsaswimming na nga sa Baseco.
Yeah.
Pero dapat 100, ano?
Yeah, still 100. Yeah.
Saan ba yung 100 na? Saang areas yung pwede na talagang maligo na part of Manila Bay?
Okay, there are areas in Mariveles, Bataan, and in Cavite.
Na 100,
Upstream,
less than na, 100.
Yeah, less than. Some are in 73, some are in the 50.
Okay, so paano nagawa yun? Paano napababa? Even here in Manila?
Yeah, it's everyday cleanup and of course enforcement. Okay, if you can see when we launched the Battle for Manila Bay, there are around 19,000 establishments that were inspected, and more than thousands that were given notice of violations, and some were closed. And then, of course, education. Okay, people now are conscious about throwing garbage or defecating.
Okay, Jake, tignan din natin kung ano yung ginagawa ng Manila local government tungkol dyan. Ano? We had an interview with Manila Mayor Isko Moreno. Let's listen in.
Thankfully, DNR, DPWH, and MMDAs continue rehabilitating and putting some structures, facilities to cure or at least, at the very least, not to add up to bay and wastewater coming from inland. So, merong water treatment facilities na binibuild ngayon ang national government. So, we're hoping, with regard to status, we're hoping that in the coming months, matatapos na siya.
Ms. Elsie, tanong ko lang kasi 'di ba, yung mga bahay, yung mga informal settlers, ano ba yung nagiging problema? Talagang wala silang CR doon sa mga bahay na nandoon sa... Anong nakita niyong problema doon?
Which one? Yung
mga
pabahay
informal settlers.
namin.
No, informal
doon
settlers.
Sa point of origin. Yes, karamihan sa kanila, wala talaga. So, and that's, I think, nagkaroon din ng survey ng mga local government units because that's part of one of the clusters, yung solid waste, not solid, liquid waste management. So they had an inventory also. So that's the problem, or that's the area of concern of the local government
But this has always been a problem, ano, Paolo? Parang, and also binanggit kanina, Jake, yung a matter of educating people, no? Pag
Yes.
mga informal settlers, ano bang nakikita nyong dapat ituro sa kanila or...
Pero ano yung when we say yung ituro sa informal settlers, usually ito yung mga marginalized sectors, di ba? Even if we do teach it in school, chances are they're not in school, eh. So it's not like simply educating, it's part of the DepEd curriculum or CHEDNA. We have to actually conduct programs talaga going down to the communities. I think we have a project with Mayor Isko coming up soon with regards to how to manage yung waste and what you can do with say the plastic waste, what can we do about recycling it. But you have to go down to the communities, similar to what NHA and DNR are doing. You really have to go down to the affected communities because chances are the traditional methods of communicating or educating people or kids, hindi sila abot ng mga ganong methods. So we have to go out of the box to go down talaga doon sa communities to help them learn more about the impacts of these daily activities.
But so far, do you think tama lang yung pag-usad ng efforts ng DENR with the Manila Bay rehabilitation?
We're part of the technical working group of the Manila Bay Sustainable Development Master Plan, so we get the updates. And across the board, it's actually increasing, but we have to take note that it's only been a year.
Yeah.
When you look at the scale of Manila Bay, this is Nueva Ecija, all the way down to Batan and Cavite and Laguna Lake. So this is a massive scale, and it will really take a long time to get everybody together and affect the changes required by the mandamus. But we're steadily doing that. At first, I was very reluctant to believe that we could mobilize this much people every day, and yet you're here.
We just have volunteers, ano? Volunteers
every
cleaning
day,
up. Yeah.
Still up to today. And this is not just Ross Boulevard. All the other regions are also working. Even people in Norzagaray, Bulacan are helping
Pero
clear
yung,
up the water.
kanina si Mayor was talking about infrastructure na, no? Yung mga water facilities. That's also one big thing, no? About yung, kaya lang parang nagkakaproblema ata yung connection ng, I was reading na over 20% lang ang ang sewerage coverage ng water companies. Can you tell us about this, Jake?
That's correct, Ruth. One of the problems is that the connection of the establishments and the houses to the sewerage system. And at this moment, only around more than 20%.
Linawin lang natin na kailangan yun kasi para matreat, no, yung tubig, para paglabas, hindi madumi talaga. Oo.
Yeah, they have to be connected. So that's why the Manila Bay Task Force, led by Secretary Simato, is doing a proactive approach. Okay, for example, on the Manila Bay Walk area, if you will pass by that area, you can see some engineering intervention at the moment. So as Mayor Esco was stating, there is now a sewerage treatment plant being put there. Okay, the plan is that we will be putting a wastewater interceptor along the Baywalk area to catch the wastewater coming from the establishments, and then it will be treated with a sewerage treatment facility. There are three main culprits in that area. The three outfalls, which is Abad, Remedios, and Paura. Okay, what we will do is that the three outfalls will be connected into one. Okay, so that it will be treated before the water being discharged to the sea. Okay, and then an outfall pipe of 1 kilometer towards the Manila Bay would be the one disposing of the treated wastewater. So that's one of the proactive approach or engineering approach.
Pero nangako na itong water companies that they will improve yung connectivity nila, yung connection nila sa sewerage coverage nila.
Yeah, that's correct. They are part now of the Manila Bay Task Force, Manila and Maynilad. So actually, we just came today from the principals' meeting and conference. And in their budget for 2020, they have, I think, allotted combined more than 10 billion pesos for this, for 2020, for sewerage.
So aside from the challenge, I think meron din kayong mga, di ba, in cleaning up, at ma'am, gusto kita tanong kasi ito rin laging problema sa kahit anong proyekto ng gobyerno, yung challenge dun sa mga informal settlers na ayaw umalis. What are we doing about?
Well, NHA is focused on the provision of the permanent housing.
Okay.
They are going to be where they are going to be resettled. The matter of motivating them to leave the area is a concern that is addressed in coordination with the local government units. The function of moving out families is the primary mandate of the local
Kasi ang
government
sinasabi nila
units.
kung i-relocate nyo sila, wala silang trabaho, babalik at babalik sila doon sa
Okay.
pinanggalingan nila.
I would like to mention that the challenge really is there are lots of bashing about the economic, the displacement in terms of economic opportunities. NHA as an ideal intervention is really to go in city, meaning the houses should be built in city. But given the prohibitive cost of land, given the kumukonti na, the limitation of space, and of course the cost, there's a disconnect again between availability and affordability because you have to go up to maximize or optimize the land, the small space. But for off-city, definitely, there's really displacement, and that is the biggest challenge. However, so we encourage the local government units to provide us the land so that in terms of affordability and the cost of going low-rise buildings would be minimized. For off-city, there's not much of a problem with Region 3 and 4. Families to be displaced will be resettled permanently to in-city or in-town sites.
Madali naman yung space
Yes,
dyan.
of course. Tarlac, Nueva Ecija.
Okay, we talk more about the Manila Bay rehabilitation when we come back. This is On the Record. Stay tuned. You're watching On the Record on CNN Philippines. We're still talking about the rehabilitation of the Manila Bay. Jake is from the ENR. Kailan kami pwedeng mag-swimming na sa Rojas Boulevard, Manila Bay?
Yeah, the geoengineering intervention being put up in the Manila Bay Walk aims really to have this place swimmable in the near future. The Secretary Simato is very confident that with the interventions being put there, in a matter of time, we will be able to enjoy the waters in that area.
How soon?
I cannot give you the exact, but in the immediate future, because we were able to pinpoint the culprits there. That's the 3 outfalls. Okay?
Yeah. So ilan na nga ulit ngayon ang fecal coliform level doon?
Yeah, from
Hundreds of
Abad Santos,
million
from
pa.
billions to millions, and then from the Baywalk area, from 100 millions to a mere millions, and then in Baseco, it's only around 100,000s.
Okay, we're down to our last stretch. Final words na lang, how can we be part? Lahat tayo ay bahagi nitong Manila Bay, and how can we be part of the rehabilitation? Your message na lang. We start with you, Jay.
Yes, as Filipinos, Manila Bay is our heritage, our jewel. Okay. It's one of the finest harbor in the world. Historically, we are bind to Manila Bay. Rizal once penned a poem about Pasig River. Okay. Our identity as Filipinos connects with Manila Bay. Economically, Manila Bay is where our economy is. So every Filipinos should work to rehabilitate, clean up, okay, and restore the waters of Manila Bay, and for our generation and the next generations to come will enjoy it. Thank you.
Well, the NHA for its part is pursuant to its mandate, the provision of housing, for the provision of permanent housing. I would like to, advocate. This is the housing alone does not constitute the structure. But of course, motivating the families, educating them is a part of the whole process. So this is a multi-stakeholder undertaking. So we would like to encourage the participation, even the NGOs, the POs, in helping us finding suitable sites for the families. And may I also mention that off-city sites would be more acceptable, or would be more sustainable. if we address connectivity in terms of transportation also.
Paolo.
Remember that the battle for Manila Bay is essentially returning it to a state where it was before, and it's primarily on water. So we take it as for granted as Filipinos that we have a lot of water. We throw everything away as if there's an away. But ultimately, it's about taking care of the environment because the environment provides for us. If we do not take care of nature, then we will suffer the consequence. In the end, nature wins. So we have to take part, not because it's just it's beautiful, but it's really a necessity to take care of the environment to save humans.
Okay. Thank you very much to our guests. That's On the Record this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Ruth Cabal.